Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back. Today we're going to be checking out a brand new plugin from UVI. They sent this over to me to test out. And guess what? It's another reverb. And I really feel this has been kind of like the month of reverbs. There's been so many good reverbs coming out recently as well. We had Space Blender, which is pretty unique with its tail that you can change and update in real time. We had Velo, which we looked at as well from Sonic Academy, which is a super intuitive way of changing up the delay times via their node-based editing. Really interesting control over the tail as well of their reverb, and obviously a hybrid reverb as well with convolution and algorithmic. And then we also looked at Utopia from Adapter, amazing reverb as well, spectral reverb, which also set it apart from the others. Sonable came out with a reverb yesterday, which I haven't had a chance to try out. Unfortunately, that's Smart Reverb 2. I did use Smart Reverb 1. I used that less in my kind of productions. It's more realistic. It's great for mixing, but it wasn't one that I'd used tons. This is more my kind of reverb. This is Bloom from UVI. And it's definitely my kind of thing, this. I like these kind of lush algorithmic reverbs. Stuff like Realm is very much go-to for me. It's a nice, simple layout, very easy to get what you need out of it without being overly complicated. I'm going to run through just some of the controls quickly. Let's also just take a listen to what it sounds like. Just the default patch that we're listening to. And just a plain old saw wave that I'm running into it. Most of this is very self-explanatory. The size is going to be the sort of volume of the space that we are putting this into. You can hear what that does. The shape is obviously the shape of the room. This just changes the sort of room dimensions. So it's going to affect how the reflections move around the space. Pre-delay, nothing to see here. Would be nice to have a syncable option here though. I don't see any way to sync that to a time signature rather than a millisecond amount. Modulation, this is going to be key to getting those sort of lush sounds out of this. I've always liked the way that this is dealt with. It's pretty similar to SparkVerb. If you know SparkVerb, you'll be quite familiar with the sort of layout they have here. It's also inside of Falcon. It's the reverb that they pulled out of there. It makes a lot of sense. You can adjust it on this here quite easily and also down at the bottom. You've got controls for the low, and this is just a multiplier essentially. So you're just multiplying a fraction of the lows as opposed to full or more. Obviously, this is going to be applied to anything under the crossover frequency here. Same applies to the tops. You can roll those off slightly. Just multiply the tops a little bit by whatever amount you have there. You also have this roll-off, which is a low-pass filter, and essentially works as, you may see this called dampening or damp mount or whatever on other reverbs. Just going to roll off the top end as the delays progress. There you go. You can see there's a few controls here as well that are currently not working. We'll get to those in a sec. Different way that you can visualize these as well is that. And mix, trim, don't worry about those. Pretty self-explanatory. Diffusion as well. Diffusion is essentially going to be kind of the blurriness of the tail, or how much the delays kind of blend into one perceived sound. If you bring the diffusion down, that means less of the spreading out of those delays. If you listen carefully, you can almost hear the actual individual delays there. Bring that up. And you've got beautiful, smooth, long tails. Right, so the thing that sets this apart is these modes really in the bottom here. This currently, right now, the single mode is pretty much the bog standard reverb mode, and it sounds great, but we've seen this before. What happens if we switch this into parallel or serial mode is it's essentially running two reverb models at the same time, feeding into each other. And you can decide if you want to run them in parallel or in serial, so one feeding into the other one, cascading down like that instead. They give you pretty different tones. There is also some controls that change when you move between these. So the parallel one, you actually don't have any control over the depth and rate of the modulation, but you do have this rise time, which is linked to the sort of decay time, yeah, but it's how they sort of interact with each other, the two different reverb models, and they are detuned, these parallel ones too. So let's just play around with this quickly. I'm going to turn this right into full so you can kind of hear what's going on in the tail. You can also adjust this tap thing. So this is the tap out mode down at the bottom. It also affects the way that the delays interact with the reverb as well, delays in the tail. So I find the parallel one for me is kind of more, it's kind of more crispy kind of sound. It's because it's lacking that modulation. But I really like the serial mode where you can kind of cascade two detuned reverbs into one another. Take a listen to this now again. I'm leaving this 100% mix again just so you can hear the tail, and we'll get some really, really nice lush results out of this one. Let's just play something through this. That's pretty gorgeous, that. So let's dial up our envelopes a little bit. Just a little bit of modulation to maybe a little bit of our pitch here. And let's detune the oscillator slightly into the stereo. Bring in a filter. Let's bring in our reverb. Pretty great, Dad. Cool. Yeah, it does this kind of long modulated reverb tail really, really nicely. We can play around with a few other bits and pieces. Let me just try some more percussive stuff on this too. So this one, obviously, more percussive sounds. You probably want to dial it back to one of the other modes here. So I find these are sort of the more lush, long ones. Let's maybe try the natural one here. Shorten this slightly, and maybe try out the parallel one for something that's a little bit more percussive. Just the sizes here, get something a little bit more tight on this. Back to the single. Pretty different tones that you get out of this. Still great, that as well. Just run a delay through it as well. And let's try this out. Yeah, I like that. So another thing that I always liked about Spark as well, it's got a pretty unique browser for going through the presets. If you don't have, that need some inspiration for something, come up to this thing and it's got this kind of like map. You can pick a preset that you like and then kind of morph it to something. So let's go to play. I'll grab like this one here, Vibrant Room. And then you can get a sort of blend between Vibrant Room, Mixing Vox, and just a little, so the presets aren't necessarily static. It's not one set of controls. You can grab one like this and then introduce some aspects of another one in that sense. There's also a complete randomization mode as well if you want to just kind of try something out. One caveat with this is I would make sure that you lock off some of the controls. If you randomize stuff like the trim, you can end up with some pretty loud sounds coming out of this. Yeah, I think UVI might want to actually lock this one by default when you do randomization. But the bonus for this is the randomization can actually be quite useful because you can lock everything. So by right-clicking on anything, you can actually just set the parameter to unlock or to lock. So what I would do is just make sure that you lock the trim at the very least. And maybe you want to lock the mix as well. If it's kind of set where you want it. Let's just lock that one as well. And now we can just play around with randomizing this. See what else we come up with. Kind of interesting that as well. And if you stumble across something that's almost where you want to be, like I said, you can mutate from there, but you can also mutate from this one, which will just give you similar results, but different. So keep this one locked and just see what's actually happening to the tail here. So just think of that as a slightly like tame version of the randomized one. This is going to give you completely different. And that one's going to give you slightly different results. So, intro offer of 29 euros, I believe. I think it's pretty reasonable for this. As you've heard, the serial mode sounds really, really good. I like it a lot. If you're a Sonic Bundle owner, I think there's an extra discount for you as well. I think it's 10 euros or 10 euro coupon that you get. So in that case, 19 euros for reverb like this, definitely not a bad deal at all. So I'd get that at intro offer if you can. If you like this kind of thing, algorithmic reverbs for me are my jam. So this one gets a thumbs up from me. Cool. Right, that's a wrap from me. You can go check out the video I've done on Utopia, Vela, and Space Blender as well. I think all of these tools are pretty great in their own rights. Yeah. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel, go check out Patreon. The links are in the description below. Otherwise, I shall see you soon. Till then, take care. Cheers.